You spend your days wishing things were easier, don't you? That life would take it easier on you. But what if I told you that this wish is precisely what prevents you from having the life you really want? That this search for comfort is, in fact, the most subtle and powerful trap that keeps you small? Before we dive into the depth of this idea, if you feel that there is something more waiting for you beyond the surface of everyday life, like this video and subscribe to the channel. What we are about to unveil can redefine your relationship with challenges. There was a man whose voice, warm and thoughtful, echoed through the radios of an America thirsty for direction in the mid-20th century. Earl Nightingale, a man forged in the Great Depression and World War II, was not a distant academic but a keen observer of human nature. He saw firsthand the struggle, the ambition, and above all the mentality that separated those who thrived from those who merely survived. And at the heart of his observations, he distilled a disconcerting truth, encapsulated in the phrase that resonates to this day: "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." It seems simple, almost a motivational cliché, but beneath this apparent simplicity lies a philosophy of life radically different from the one our modern culture incessantly sells us. Nightingale realized that the natural human tendency is to blame the external. The difficult boss, the unstable economy, bad luck, unfavorable circumstances. We incessantly seek shortcuts, magic formulas, ways to bypass effort, discomfort, the pain of growth. We want the reward without the arduous journey, the summit without the climb. This desire for ease, however, is a form of soul anesthesia. It is a refusal to face the only variable over which we have real and significant control: ourselves. As Jung would warn us, what we avoid, difficulty, confrontation with our limitations, is exactly where our greatest opportunity for individuation lies, to become who we really are. It is in the fertile ground of difficulty that the roots of character deepen and true strength blossoms. Wishing it were easier is, in essence, wishing to remain the same, refusing one's own evolution. Imagine a tiny seed buried in the darkness of the earth. It could wish for the soil to be fluffier, for the rain to fall in gentle and warm torrents, for the sun to shine with a mild intensity. But nature doesn't work that way. The seed needs to break through the resistance of the earth, fight against the pressure of the soil, stretch towards the light through the darkness and cold moisture. It is in this process of overcoming, of facing adverse conditions, that it transforms into a strong and resilient plant, capable of blossoming and bearing fruit. Difficulty is not an obstacle in the path of growth, but the path itself. It is the driving force that propels us to develop new skills, to discover internal resources that we didn't even know we possessed, to expand the limits of our potential. Think of a sculptor in front of a block of raw marble. He does not wish for the stone to become more malleable, easier to work with. On the contrary, he embraces the resistance of the material, because it is precisely in this struggle, in this confrontation with the hardness of the stone, that the form emerges, that the work of art comes to life. Each hammer blow, each chisel, stroke is a negotiation between the artist's vision and the intrinsic nature of the marble. And the result, when achieved, carries within it the mark of this journey, the history of the transformation of raw material into something beautiful and meaningful. In the same way, life presents us with challenges that, at first glance, may seem like insurmountable obstacles, stones in our path. But it is these very difficulties that mold us, that refine us, that transform us into stronger, wiser, and more complete versions of ourselves. The incessant search for ease is, deep down, a search for stagnation. It's like trying to navigate a sea without waves, a river without current. The absence of challenges deprives us of the opportunity to learn to sail, to develop our ability. to row against the tide, to become skilled navigators of our own journey. We live in an era obsessed with instant gratification, with the hack, with the quick fix. The incessant noise of social media bombards us with images of seemingly effortless success, fueling the illusion that life should be easy and that if it isn't, something is fundamentally wrong with us or with the world. This culture infantilizes us, makes us averse to the process, to the discipline, to the resilience that can only be forged on the anvil of adversity. We blame the algorithm, the system, anything but our own reluctance to pay the price of personal development. We run away from the shadow, from the part of us that is weak, insecure, undisciplined, and by running away, we give it the power to govern us. Social media, with its filters and carefully constructed narratives, often presents us with a distorted picture of reality. We see seemingly perfect lives, instant successes, achievements without apparent effort. This flood of idealized images can generate in us a feeling of inadequacy, that we are falling behind, that our life with its struggles and imperfections is somehow inferior. But it is crucial to remember that what we see on screens is just the surface, the tip of the iceberg. Behind every instant success story, there is usually a long and arduous path of learning, of mistakes, of persistence, and of overcoming obstacles. No one is born a master. No one achieves success overnight. Personal development, the achievement of meaningful goals, the construction of a full and satisfying life are processes that require time, effort, discipline, and above all, the willingness to face discomfort and uncertainty. The culture of instant gratification sells us the illusion that we can avoid the pain of growth, that we can skip steps, that we can obtain results without investing the necessary effort. But this is a dangerous trap, because by avoiding discomfort, we are also avoiding the opportunity to develop the resilience, self-confidence, and inner strength that are essential for navigating the ups and downs of life. It's like trying to build muscle without lifting weights, like wanting to learn to swim without getting into the water. Personal growth, like physical growth, requires resistance, requires effort, requires leaving the comfort zone and facing challenges head-on. I know, exhaustion is real. There are days when the weight of the world seems overwhelming, when the simple idea of having to try harder seems unbearable. The temptation to just give up, to look for the path of least resistance, is deeply human. You feel it, this silent battle between the longing for comfort and that inner voice, almost inaudible sometimes, that whispers that you are capable of more, that there is a version of you waiting to be discovered on the other side of the challenge. It is the tension between the desire for security and the call to greatness, a conflict that defines the human journey since time immemorial. Imagine yourself walking along a mountain trail. The sun is scorching, the climb is steep, your legs ache, your breath becomes panting. The temptation to stop, to give up, to return to the comfort of the starting point is immense. But something inside you, a mysterious and stubborn force, drives you to continue. Perhaps it is the beauty of the landscape that reveals itself with each step. Perhaps it is the promise of the panoramic view that awaits you at the top. Perhaps it is simply your own determination to prove to yourself that you are capable of getting there. And then you continue, step after step, breathing deeply, overcoming fatigue, ignoring the pain. And when you finally reach the summit, the feeling of accomplishment, of relief, of pride is indescribable. You realize that the difficulty of the journey not only did not prevent you from reaching your destination, but that it was precisely this difficulty that made the achievement so valuable, so meaningful. Exhaustion is real, yes, but it is also a sign that you are pushing yourself, that you are challenging yourself, that you are expanding your limits. It is like a muscle that gets sore after an intense workout. The pain is an indication that the muscle fibers have been broken down and that they are rebuilding, becoming stronger and more resistant. The temptation to give up, to seek the easiest path, will always be present. But it is important to remember that personal growth, the achievement of meaningful goals, the construction of an authentic and full life, rarely happen in the territory of comfort and ease. It takes courage to face discomfort, to embrace uncertainty, to persist in the face of obstacles. But the rewards, both internal and external, are worth every drop of sweat, every moment of doubt, every hesitant step. But here lies the conceptual turn, the transformative insight that Nightingale offers us. True alchemy is not in turning lead into gold out there, but in transmuting our own internal fragility into strength. Power is not in manipulating circumstances to bend to our will, but in cultivating our inner capacity to face any circumstance with grace and competence. The key question changes from, "Why does this have to be so difficult?" to "How can I become the person capable of dealing with this?" This change of perspective is the turning point. It's not about denying difficulty, but about embracing it as the essential curriculum for life mastery. It is the philosophy of the warrior, the artist, the seeker. The obstacle is the path. Imagine an alchemist in his laboratory, not seeking to transform base metals into literal gold, but working to refine his own being, to transmute his imperfections into virtues, his weaknesses into strengths. True alchemy, as Nightingale reveals, to us is an internal process, a journey of self-transformation that takes place within us. It is not about changing the external world to make it easier, more comfortable, more favorable to our desires. It is about changing ourselves, about becoming stronger, more resilient, more adaptable, so that we can face any challenge that life presents us with. The question, "Why is this happening to me?" puts us in the role of victims, of passive beings, at the mercy of circumstances. It imprisons us in a cycle of lament, of self-pity, of powerlessness. But the question, "How can I deal with this?" puts us in the role of protagonists of our own story, of active agents of our own transformation. It invites us to take responsibility for our lives, to seek solutions, to develop the skills and internal resources necessary to overcome obstacles and achieve our goals. This change of perspective, this mental shift, is what allows us to transform difficulty into opportunity, suffering into learning, challenges into stepping stones for personal growth. It is like a judoka who does not fight against the opponent's strength, but who uses it to his advantage, who transforms the energy of the attack into an opportunity for defense and counterattack. Life, with its difficulties and challenges, is not something we should combat, but something we can learn to use to our advantage, as a master uses the tools at his disposal to create a masterpiece. The choice then becomes clear, even if it is not easy. You can continue to wish for a calmer sea adrift, hoping that the waves will take you to a safe harbor that may never arrive. Or you can accept Nightingale's invitation, wish to be a better sailor. Commit to the discomfort of learning, to the discipline of self-improvement, to the courage to face your own limitations and expand them day after day. Not seek shortcuts, but rather the construction of competence, of resilience, of wisdom. It is about investing in the only thing that no one can take away from you, your own character and capacity. Imagine yourself in a sailboat, in the middle of a vast and unpredictable ocean. You may wish for the sea to calm down, for the wind to cease, for the waves to disappear. But an experienced sailor knows that the sea will never be completely calm, that the wind will always change direction, that waves will always form and break. Instead of fighting against the nature of the sea, the sailor learns to adapt to it, to read the signs of the weather, to adjust the sails, to maneuver the boat with skill and precision. He does not wish for the sea to be easier, He wishes to become a better sailor, more experienced, more capable of navigating in any weather condition. Life is like this ocean full of challenges, of uncertainties, of storms and bonanzas. Wishing life were easier is like wishing the sea would calm down completely, a vain and unrealistic wish. True wisdom lies in accepting the challenging nature of life and in investing in our own personal development, in becoming more skilled sailors, capable of navigating the turbulent waters of existence with courage, resilience, and wisdom. It's not about avoiding the storms, but about learning to dance in the rain, about finding beauty and learning even in the most difficult moments. It is about building a strong character, a flexible mind, a resilient spirit that allows us to face any challenge that life presents us with, not as helpless victims, but as conscious protagonists of our own journey. Imagine yourself no longer a hostage of circumstances, but as someone who navigates them with increasing skill. Imagine the feeling of self-respect that comes not from avoiding challenges, but from overcoming them through your own effort and growth. This is not about reaching a state of effortless perfection, but about embracing the continuous process of becoming stronger, wiser, more capable. It is the conquest of an inner freedom that no external ease can buy, a resilience that transforms poison into medicine, as Nietzsche would say. It is the construction of a meaning that Viktor Frankl found not in the absence of suffering, but in the attitude we take towards it. Think of the feeling of satisfaction you experience when you overcome a challenge, when you achieve a goal that required effort and dedication, when you learn a new skill that seemed impossible at first. This feeling of accomplishment, of progress, of self-efficacy is much deeper and more lasting than any ephemeral pleasure we can obtain through ease and instant gratification. Self-respect, self-confidence, the feeling of purpose and meaning in life are not gifts that we passively receive, but rather conquests that we actively build through our effort, our persistence, our ability to overcome obstacles and learn from our mistakes. True freedom is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to face them with courage, with resilience, with creativity. It is the freedom not to be hostages of our circumstances, but to be the authors of our own story, to shape our own destiny, no matter how difficult or uncertain the path may seem. Resilience, this ability to recover from life's blows, to learn from adversities, to strengthen ourselves in the face of difficulties, is not an innate characteristic, but a skill that we can cultivate and develop throughout life. And difficulty, challenges, obstacles are the best teachers in this process. They force us to leave our comfort zone, to seek creative solutions, to develop new skills, to discover our own inner strength. The final question is not whether life will be easy. Life, in its essence, presents challenges. The question is, who will you choose to become in the face of it? Will you continue to wish for it to change, or will you take the radical responsibility of changing yourself for the better? Faced with life's challenges, you always have a choice. You can lament, victimize yourself, wish things were different, or you can get up, roll up your sleeves, take responsibility for your own journey, and become the person capable of overcoming any obstacle. The first option leads you to stagnation, frustration, unhappiness. The second leads you to growth, fulfillment, fullness. The choice is yours. Which path will you take? If this reflection has ignited something in you, if you are ready to stop wishing and start being, then leave your comment below saying, "I choose to grow." And of course, share this video with someone who might need to hear this message as much as you do. Until the next inner journey.